Being completely honest here, I think Broken Arrow might be the biggest RTS game of all time coming in 2025. There's a lot of hype, excitement, and a lot of people looking forward to the release of this modern RTS game, and a lot of people have enjoyed what they've played so far. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about its latest beta and what could be waiting for us next with Broken Arrow. But first, let's discuss the really weird ending of the beta. I actually got contacted from Slytherin and, a team behind the making of the game as well to use some of my footage from live streams that you all probably were a part of and saw here on the channel. And they asked me if they could use some of my footage of a live stream where we were teaching some other players how to play. I gave them permission, and thus on the Steam store page you may have seen me live a few times playing Broken Arrow. And when the beta ended, so many people thought I was still playing live that they came into other streams of other games that I was doing and asked me what was going on, why I was playing when it wasn't available, and stuff like that. And I woke one morning where the beta was basically over, and there was no real communication other than via their Discord, where they did say that the beta would be ending to everyone. That the beta just suddenly ended, which was disappointing because all of the communication prior to that was mostly done by Steam through Steam, because it was a part of a Steam playtest. The previous very first event being a demo of the single player mission, where of course you do naval landing and there's like F-18s that get shot down and there's artillery and whatnot. Then we got the more recent playtest of the multiplayer, which was a real rough road that first time, man. And the game got extended for its beta because it was just such trouble with all the server issues, and luckily they put in the single player mission again, and it was kind of rocky, but a lot of people were able to play. But this time we got a rough first day, and then after that it was smooth sailing the whole rest of the day, with the developers putting in, and not just one day, but I mean the whole rest of the time, putting in then additional content for everyone, such as additional missions for their PvE mode, testing their scenario mode, which was a real good success too. 3 players going against the AI to first play as the Russians, then later they added the American forces that you could play as against the Russians, and then there was kind of some scripting to that, and it was a lot of fun to play. And then some King of the Hill missions where the enemy would relentlessly attack you and you had to defend to the last man. Very challenging stuff, and very good stuff too, to be able to test out some decks and some techniques and allow for other players to learn. Well, I don't know how exactly long the beta went on. It felt almost like an entire month, but it was probably somewhere around roughly just over 2 weeks. And yeah, so bad communication on their side. For the posts that are available on Steam, it said that the playtest was coming and that they gave further information about that up until its launch. And then they talked about a Slytherin event that will be on December 10th, where I suspect they're going to share a little bit more about Broken Arrow. We'll talk about that in a second. And then that was it. So yeah, kind of a poor performance on their side of not letting people know that the beta would be ending via Steam and giving everyone kind of a last little bit of time with the beta. Now, maybe they were fearful that it would get it to crash or something like that, but honestly it was so stable that I think they could have used that as maybe a good opportunity to test whatever they had remaining. Regardless, I think they hopefully in the future will continuously communicate everything everywhere, consistently, on Twitter, maybe through Slytherin's official Twitter page, of course on their Discord page, and then on Steam, because that's where everybody was playing the beta, and that's where so many people came to me to ask what was going on. So yeah, the beta basically ended. That's the news, and that they announced it, but they were kind of, I don't know, not consistent with where they were communicating that stuff, and transparent in some areas too. But they do a great job on their Steam store page of talking about all the things that they'll be adding, like for example just before the beta, talking about all the different maps that would be added, the different factions or sub-factions, like for example the coastal troops for the Russians, and then the airborne troops for the Americans. And it was a good mix. It was a really fun beta, and they did a great job with that. And so I'm very much looking forward to what I hope to be one more playtest or one more beta before they release. Now, coming up on December 10th, Slytherin will be doing a big event where I believe they're going to show more of Broken Arrow and perhaps a release date for Broken Arrow. And I also think that, and I'm hoping here, but I'm thinking that they might also release one more piece of information relating to like a playtest or something like that. They really need to do a little bit more testing before they drop this one, because this is going to be big. And if the game has a rough launch, as we've all been seeing for things like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Planet Coaster 2 and City Skylines 2, and even Frostpunk 2, although those are all sequels. A lot of players are really judging games on their first drop. If a game has a delay and then a delay and a delay, players can forgive that. And honestly, they've already delayed Broken Arrow a few times where they kind of had these launch windows and they kept pushing it back. They haven't really given us a solid date from what I can recall, but they did give us a window saying, oh, it'll be next year, guys. Oh, it'll be next year, guys. And that's totally fine that they push it back. An entire year is a big amount of time to kind of guess. And if they need to take more time past 2025, I think that'll be fine. But my honest assessment for this will be that on December 10th, we'll get a release date for the game. I don't think we'll get a playtest. I hope we do, but we probably will not. And I think it'll be releasing more than likely in maybe mid-February to mid-March of 2025. And I don't know exactly what we're going to get. I hope we don't get something where they say it's a 1.0 release and then they add like an extra campaign or something later where it'll only have like an American campaign and most of the maps, and then they'll say it's 1.0 and then they add that stuff later. I still feel like that should be early access. And I also feel like early access is a good crutch. That's a useful tool for developers to release, and then, you know, kind of, they use it to deflect, I think, criticism sometimes on maybe not fully fleshing things out. But for a game this complicated, with all these different units that have to be balanced, that's going to be something important for the first couple of weeks of the game, is not necessarily the game's performance, as in, I judge myself personally the really getting into a game separately than playing the game. In other words, server issues and downloads and like syncing issues and crashes. Those are one issue. But then once we're past that, if that's good, if everyone can connect and play no problem online, then it comes down to balancing all those units. If you're a big fan of the Eugen System games and or the Regiments games from Microprose and like I mentioned, Eugen Systems for Wargame, then you'll know exactly what it's like for them to balance those things. Artillery and metas are always a day one issue. Whether it's Warno, Steel Division, the Wargame series, or even if it's Regiments, and even to kind of the same extent, Broken Arrow, players talking about artillery and aircraft refueling times, and there's a lot of things that people want for different balances, and they provide real-world examples for that. So exactly how this game launches, even if it's the most amazing game we've ever played, such as with Baldur's Gate and with Elden Ring, these developers will more than likely improve upon this game, even if it goes into 1.0 and has no flaws whatsoever. I think it is not going to be the best game it will ever be at launch, but we will see that over time as players give feedback, and there's a lot of tweaks to things and maybe improvements that the developers didn't even think of, and hell, even players haven't thought of up until maybe its release day. But what I've seen from the single-player campaign, with it really giving the vibes of like a Call of Duty Modern Warfare mission, and with the hype music and really a serious subject matter where they presented quite well, although with some humor with the voice communications of all the different units that you can play as, it really reminds me of like something along the lines of Command & Conquer Generals when they talk. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a stellar release. I'm really looking forward to December 10th, and I also would like to remind you all to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because we will cover that live Slytherin event too. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to announce another beta or something that night, but it will be a big day for Broken Arrow. So we'll be live streaming, quote-unquote, Broken Arrow again here on the channel. It won't be gameplay. More than likely, it'll just be the Slytherin event, but I hope that they actually show us more gameplay of missions we haven't seen yet, factions we haven't seen yet, and of course give us a release date. So if we get all those things, and if it's early, you know, first quarter of 2025, then I think we're really looking forward to a hype next couple of months. And I hope that, again, I really hope that we get a beta beforehand, because I I had a ton of fun with that beta, and everybody was so bummed when it ended. And even I didn't know. Apparently it ended one day, and I was like, everyone was saying, oh yeah, it's down, don't play it today. And I'm like, it's down? The servers are down? Looked on Steam, and there was no information, and had to get that kind of confirmed on Discord and some other people on Twitter. So yeah, there you go. So everybody mark your calendars for December 10th, 2024 for the Slytherin Live event. I'll have it streamed here on the channel. I'm sure they'll be kind of sharing some of that news on their Twitter page as well, and we'll see what other things that come our way. Maybe it'll be a new trailer, maybe there'll be some other information, and I'm just filled with hype and excitement. Additionally, the Game Awards are coming up too, and also like the PC Future Game Show came up as well, so I'm recording this before all that. I don't think we'll get any sort of big trailers there, but it would be amazing to see this game on like literally the Super Bowl of gaming, or at least that level of attention. So I'm really hoping the best for Broken Arrow. I'm really hoping the best for Slytherin, because they're really making some other interesting games, like for example the Starship Troopers Terran Command game. They also made a Stargate game, which plays a little bit like the Desperados or Commandos series, that kind of a tactical strategy game. So yeah, I'm really hoping to see a lot more from Slytherin, including Terminator, but I think this is the crowning jewel for Slytherin. This is going to be the biggest game that they've ever published, and I hope the best for Broken Arrow and its community. All right, guys, well, thanks again for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the game so far and any questions you may have. And if you haven't, then just go ahead and say hi. I'd love to say hi back, and I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone.